Hello, once again. This is Timothy Halloran, and the date is Tuesday, February 13th, 2018. And it's amazing. It seems just like yesterday that I was out here shooting the last video, which of course was actually in real time about 2 weeks ago. And so this month of February is electrical, it's intense, it's fast-paced, it indeed can be quite restless. There indeed can be some sleepless nights that we've been having approximately the last 3-4 weeks. And that's because every time around this year is Aquarius season. But making this particular Aquarius season particularly fast-paced, restless, and intense is the fact that we have eclipses this season. And of course, eclipses are either new or full moons that align with the moon's nodes. And this year we have the moon's north node in Leo, where the last total lunar eclipse was 2 weeks ago. And now we have a forthcoming partial solar eclipse in Aquarius this coming Thursday, February 15th, around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now this is a partial solar eclipse, notably, because this is a solar eclipse happening greater than 12 degrees away from the moon's nodes, which is a considerably wide amount of space. And so this is a very partial solar eclipse. Notably, the big eclipse of this season is the lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago in Leo. And eclipse season is 6-month cycles. That eclipse and this forthcoming eclipse is sowing seeds, taking us through the next 6 months. 2 weeks ago, the lunar eclipse on Leo was on the north node of Neptune. Really a seed sowing time, aligning with our individual truth and opening our heart to our spontaneous and natural self-expression. This is very much what's holding open the doorway to our future, these ongoing next 6 months. And in particular, this forthcoming solar eclipse in Aquarius puts the focus on interconnectivity with other people, aligned with progressive directions. New ideas, new ideals, and we're incubating how to bridge the future with the present. And so this is what Aquarius is. The second to last sign of the zodiac is about bridging and interconnecting every dimension together as we discover what it means to be a singular interconnected consciousness, and how being within a singular interconnected consciousness, we can function in the most harmonious and natural way. Which is, of course, easier said than done. We are in the very beginning stages of just entering the age of Aquarius, which means that at this particular time, collectively, we can all be very gung-ho and excited and instinctually taking leaps into new ideas and directions. And yet it may not all be together yet. It may not all be conceptually figured out and understood what exactly we need to do in order to be the best of our own capability. And so Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And Uranus is the liberator, the awakener. Electricity. Uranus was discovered at the time of the Industrial Revolution, having to do with very fast-paced revolution. And it's like our whole human history changes overnight. Similarly, there's a very exciting, electrical, restless feeling that goes along with Aquarius. And indeed, these last 3-4 weeks, we could have been really feeling this divine discontent, which is the phrase I like to associate to Uranus and Aquarius, which sees the future. Prometheus is always looking ahead into the future, what we could be doing, how things could be so much better. And so Uranus sees these future possibilities, and this divine discontent can create a lot of restlessness. Like, yeah, what we're doing right now, it's okay, but it could be infinitely better. We could be so many centuries in the future. We could be so much more harmonious as a species. And so Aquarius also can deal with dissatisfaction. What we don't like that we're dealing with in the present that is limiting our freedom or our sense of being able to be totally liberated individuals. And wherever we experience that limitation or that sense of being restricted or pent up, this is where Uranus and Aquarius creates a loaded spring-like dynamic, where there can again be restlessness, anxiety, or frustration, rebellion, pushing against everybody else. I don't need you anymore. I can do everything on my own. You're limiting me. You're not what I want to deal with, so on and so forth. Aquarius can deal with disassociation, separation from other people, the norms of the world, society, and our duties and expectation, in order to experiment with and pursue what is fresh and new on our own by being the pioneers of the future. And that is the high octave and the potential seed that we can sow with this partial solar eclipse. And the Sabian symbol for this solar eclipse, I think, is noteworthy, so I'll read it to you now. The Sabian symbol is a symbol for every degree of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. And so this is for 28 degrees, because you always round up to the next degree when using Sabian symbols. The symbol is a huge pile of sawed-up wood, ensures heat for the winter. And Dane Ruggiero writes about this Sabian symbol, this is rich contribution of nature to all who work with foresight, intellectual preparation, calm yet potent faith in providence. So again, this is seeing future possibilities, how things can be done that are better, that are groundbreaking. And yet the key with Aquarius is in seeing how much is going on ahead of ourselves. It's like our consciousness has already expanded outwardly and we're waiting for our bodies to catch up to our consciousness. And so the key with Aquarius is how to be okay and satisfied and content where we are in the present while still harnessing that divine dissatisfaction, that ingenuity and passion and brilliance, the pioneering brilliance of Aquarius. It's about holding that flame while still being able to be okay where we are now, so that way we can make preparations with a long-term vision. And so there can be still a lot of instinctual, let's break free, let's liberate ourselves, let's get out with the old, in with the new. But we do also need to be calm and patient enough to realistically have foresight with any longevity of how we can make changes that will actually benefit ourselves and others in the whole, in a way that's not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater or copying out of our real duties, responsibilities, or the things in ourself that we don't want to look at, you know. Aquarius can just notice the little objective things outside of ourselves that seem to make things not totally perfect. But there's actually a lot of opportunity for us to be sowing seeds right now. It's about sowing a seed of something that can blossom throughout the next 6 months in a long-term type of way that brings us into greater liberation, greater self-expression, and greater sense of spaciousness to go where we want to go. Aquarius deals with spaciousness. There can be a sense of claustrophobia when we can't do exactly what we want to do in the moment that we want to, and etc. Other people, our relationships, Valentine's Day duties, family obligations, so on and so forth. Life is complicated, right? It's like there's always something that we're working on, and there's always good things that are going on, and so we just have to keep a holistic view. That's important, you know. It's like it's really unfortunate when people come into an astrology reading, for example, and it's like sometimes people just get so clung onto the notion that everything needs to be perfect, and they're waiting for this permission or this green light that everything's just fine. And that just sets up a lot of people for disappointment, because this isn't life. It's like with any new moon, full moon, we're always talking about the potential and the challenge, right? That's life. It's never totally good or bad. So we can't just hyper-focus on what's not working. We need to be aware of the full picture and appreciate what we do have as well as what is changing and what we can bring in that's new and exciting, and keeping us looking forward simultaneously. So a lot of deep thinking and eureka moments, and again, seed sowing. And along with this solar eclipse, this coming weekend, the 17th, Mercury is forming his superior conjunction with the Sun, passing the Sun. And as Mercury passes the Sun, there can be this receiving of information. And again, it's very instinctual, very progressive. It's like seeing the big picture, where we are going to be going through the rest of this 6 months, this next year. But it's also being deliberate. This is what we need to plan for. This is what we need to do, so on and so forth. And this superior conjunction is happening at the very end of Aquarius, just as Mercury moves into Pisces on the 17th, followed by the Sun into Pisces on the 18th. And so this is like a seed sowing time that can open things up. And this last few weeks, there's been a lot of unsettling and needing to do this and needing to do that, and random things popping up, unexpected obstacles and changes. This is Aquarius. Aquarius can do with what's unsettling, unexpected changes, as well as trauma. And that feeling of trauma, if you've ever felt it, is like an electrical separation, you know? And there's all this spaciousness and all this distance as we pull ourselves way back from something that's too overwhelming. And like we said, these eclipses can also be bringing up themes of past trauma, how we handle those dynamics, how we are anchoring ourselves in our body in order to be calm, in order to be okay with where we are in the present, even when there is overstimulation and so many demands and so much to do, such little time. But as things move into Pisces, it's like there's this whole other dimension that opens up. It's like, whoa, all of this spinning that just gets so dizzying. It like takes on almost a hypnotic, mystical quality moving into Pisces. And it's just like, whoa, there's more going on than I realized. There's more mystical, secret, subtle things going on in our world. There is this greater picture. There is this greater purpose. And that's what we're really breathing in, is it's just like, okay, so much excitement, so much is going on, so much we can do, so many people we can connect with, and so much we can accomplish. But there's this greater essence of our sense of purpose that gives us meaning and significance. And as things move into Pisces, it's like that deep, mystical, divine dance and divine flow that is inherently within and in between all things becomes a little bit more exposed. And this hypnotic quality unfolds, and we realize that there are messages being communicated, that there are stories being told, and these stories are partly our own story, but these stories also are connected to the collective story and our human history and the big picture and the deep themes to do with God and love and life and spirituality, so on and so forth. And so towards the end of this month, you know, particularly when Venus conjoins Neptune next Wednesday, February 21st, maybe celebrate Valentine's Day a week later this year. Might be a little bit more romantic and magical and ethereal and mystical, because this is Venus and Neptune on the 21st. You know, this is real love. It's getting a taste of the spiritual world. It's a very creative, flowing time. Where is my love leading me? Where is my sense of purpose leading me? Where is this divine flow? Like an inconceivable lazy man's river taking us forward. That's Pisces. And so all of this excitement, even with this eclipse taking us through the next 6 months, the water of Pisces will start to flow in, even beginning this weekend, the 17th and the 18th. And, you know, we can start to breathe in that mystical flow, which kind of can ease the sense of trauma, you know. The glyph for Aquarius is like these waves that are spikes. Aquarius reverberates between hugely varying dimensions. But Pisces is like, we're all one. We're already connected. There is a synchronicity. There is a hidden rhythm. There is a hidden romance going on between all of these things. And so a Valentine's Day week is a little bit too exciting. Pisces is coming, and we can chill out a little more and coast down a little bit more and get a little bit deeper. And again, this is coming into our heart, our sense of purpose. And then Mercury comes up to Neptune at the very end of the month, February 28th, and squares Mars. Or, I'm sorry, comes up to Neptune the 25th and squares Mars the 28th. You know, deeply imaginative, exploring our dreams, exploring possibilities, and these possibilities are opening up. Now this weekend, the 17th, Saturday the 17th, Mars is conjoining Vesta and square to Neptune. And when Mars is square to Neptune, particularly Mars in Sag, you know, we're really committing to our long-term, big picture, bird's eye view goals. And again, we can take these seriously right now. Mars square Neptune is like, boom, let's do it. This is what it means to be successful. These are what my long-term goals are. This is the way to spiritual accomplishment. And then it can just be like, do it, do it, do it, do it. And we have to be careful not to be overly forceful, not to be overly one way, not to be overly closed off. Yeah, the key with this solar eclipse in these weeks is really being open. Be open, be receptive, and be flexible, and things can work infinitely much easier for you. But the more we are, you know, this is the way our relationship is going to work. This is how my spiritual practices are. I do this many hours of meditation a day, you know. Mars square Neptune can try to fit a round peg through a square hole, you know. And this is how we're going to achieve enlightenment. This is how I'm going to make my money. This is how I'm going to achieve success. This is what our family needs. This is what our relationship needs. And just be aware that these things are not totally figured out. This is a closing square between Mars and Neptune. There can be drive, there can be determination. We can channel our willpower into our long-term spiritual goals and pursuits. But we must be flexible. We must be aware that there will be new things coming in, new ideas, new realizations, and adjustments. And so flexibility means we hold the long-term goal in our hearts. But do we know exactly what that looks like? Do we know every single step along the way and where exactly our feet are going to land moment by moment? Not necessarily. Mars coming up to asteroid Vesta, which is going on all this month of February, but coming up to Vesta exact on the 25th, is really committing to what we are fighting for. It's like fighting for a cause. I believe in this. Sagittarius is our truth. It is our perspective. It's what matters to us, because this is what it means to be a human being. Sagittarius rules religion and philosophy and teaching and nature. And so it's like, I am committed to nature. I'm committed to my truth. This is what I believe for. I'm fighting for a cause. And we can harness that energy. And man, when we are focused on what we are excited by, our personal truth, we can really focus on. We need to be careful not to be overly focused and overly passionate in an almost crusade-y or preachy type of way, because we can really burn out people in any type of close proximity to us. So be aware, we can harness this energy, but not to get like burnt out because we're freaking out or you know, just being you know, obsessed with what we are doing in the world. And also, you know, Vesta is squaring Neptune, which is, you know, again, we just have to be flexible. We have to make sure that we are not inappropriately denying our own basic needs, or our own need for freedom, or our own need for intimacy, essentially, you know. Inappropriate self-denial or self-sacrifice is not the way to do our long-term goals, even if we're very excited about it. I mean, that's the thing. We can be so excited, like, let's do this. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is how we're going to change everything, right? And it's just like, that's happening, yes. Again, Aquarius, it's like progress, innovation, humanitarian endeavors, change, yes. This is a powerful time where all these things can happen, and they will come into fruition in a natural way, the way you don't force a seed to become a fully matured, fruiting tree, right? It doesn't happen that way. So we sow the seed and then we get a cup of coffee and we enjoy what else is happening in our life while that seed is coming into fruition. Again, that way we don't become obsessed, we don't get burnt out, and we don't lose direction. It's so easy to lose direction even if we get particularly juiced by something, like this is where I've been afflicted in the world and I believe in this, I'm fighting for this. Yes, wonderful, good, I applaud this. But also make sure that that's not becoming an escape route, or something that we can obsess with because we're actually veering off the road of practical progress and veering into the minefield of self-denial where we can get in trouble, So no, not just copping out and scapegoating because we're so excited about what we're fighting for, but actually harnessing that progressive, forward, humanitarian energy without just hyper-focusing or crusading, but also being able to accept where we are right now. And so that brings us back to this partial solar eclipse in Aquarius, because there's a very important player on this eclipse, and that is asteroid Juno. Tomorrow, February 14th, is Valentine's Day. And on Valentine's Day, very appropriately this year, the Sun is joined asteroid Juno, the asteroid of partnerships, connections, relationships, our committance to one another, working together. What we need in partnership, what we need in relationship is reflected in asteroid Juno, as well as our pathologies in relationships and our challenges in relationships and what doesn't always work out well in partnerships can also be reflected in Juno. Now, this solar eclipse is happening in Aquarius. Again, Juno is progressive here, and particularly Juno in Aquarius says, yes, we can work together as a team. Yes, we can be a harmonious, intimate relationship if I have my demands to be independent and free completely satiated. Right? I mean, it's like we've had Venus in Aquarius the last month. Now we've got this eclipse with Juno in Aquarius. I mean, this can feel like a lot of separation in relationship, Freedom urges in relationship. I am going to spend the evening by myself now. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. And so again, in astrology, it's never all good or bad, black or white. There's an opportunity with this solar eclipse with Juno for connections, This Valentine's Day Juno, solar eclipse can be wonderful. It can be romantic. It can be passionate. I mean, let's take a look at it. We've got Venus in Pisces also square to Mars in Sagittarius coming up this Sunday, February 25th. This whole week, we've got Venus square Mars, Valentine's Day. It's like it can be passionate. There can be fireworks. It can be sexy. It can be hot. It can be frisky. What's the word? It can be kinky. It can be kinky, spicy, hot. And similarly, it can be fireworks in a negative way. Get the heck away from me. I'm sick of you, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of heat, for better or worse, this particular Valentine's Day. And with Venus, square to Mars and square to Vesta, again, this can create conflicts between our own independence, relationship needs, independence, our work duties, our work obligations. And it can manifest in, separation, isolation. You know what? I'm going to be a nun now, puritanical. We're not having sex right now. Oh, I'm tired of this, blah, blah, blah. Or it can be just the opposite, promiscuous, Like we said, kinky, hot. Oh, let's try out these new things. Let's be progressive and experimental in that way, So it can really be going back and forth, or either or, attraction, repulsion. A lot of excitement going on. But regardless, this solar eclipse conjoined Juno certainly brings up relationship needs. It brings up where we need space and freedom and independence in our relationships, so that way it's even possible and even practical for us to come together and work as groups and interconnect. And Juno and Aquarius can connect with other people. This is a wonderful time to be creating work associations that are progressive, humanitarian endeavors. This is how we're going to involve ourselves in the community and take things forward. This is the group that we're forming that's going to allow us to share the unique, progressive, eccentric things that we love, so on and so forth. So a lot of great interconnection needed, but the question again is how to do that interconnectivity while also integrating our need for independence and space. And this is like so key in all relationships, and it's something that I constantly say to my clients is make sure you're integrating union and separation in relationships. It never gets talked about enough how important separation is in relationships. Because we live in this Walt Disney World, fantasy, naive world and culture where we're expected to move off with the prince or princess and exist in a honeymoon stage where we're together and happily ever after forever. And it's just not reality. It's not even possible. And it just backfires. The more time you spend with somebody, you actually start to go crazy after a while, and you start to feel lonely even when you're together, so on and so forth. So all and any relationship, and indeed love itself, is a dance of union and separation. We come together and we have rituals, things that we do. Valentine's Day, we celebrate our love together. These are the things that we value together. These are the things that we love, particularly the next week when Venus is conjunct Neptune on the 21st. That can be your Valentine's Day, right? And it's also the rituals, the things that we love to do apart. I'm going to go off and do my thing today, you go off and do your thing today. You know, celebrate your rituals apart. Plan your rituals apart. Give each other the space and time needed to be apart to have a healthy, harmonious relationship. And how can we forget that Juno is square to Jupiter during this eclipse? This is a solar eclipse square to Jupiter in Scorpio. And Juno was married to Jupiter in the Greek-Roman paradigm. In the Greek paradigm, Juno was called Hera and Jupiter was called Zeus. And they sort of were the head king, queen, god of the Greek-Roman paradigm, you know. But if you've studied or read any Greek or Roman mythology, you are probably aware of how dysfunctional Hera's and Zeus's relationship is. So another important and last but not least theme that this solar eclipse can certainly be bringing up are themes related to the patriarchy. Yes, ever since Jupiter went into Scorpio, everyone's been talking about the amount of sex scandals that have been going on. And it's big, important, United States Hollywood actors get revealed as being, molesters and abusers, so on and so forth. And it's like the old ugly face of patriarchy is rearing its old ugly face. This is the time, this is the season for this. And it's necessary to see the old ugly face of patriarchy in order to see everything that's not working in order to make adjustments. And this isn't just Jupiter and Scorpio. This is Saturn in balsamic phase to Pluto, as Pluto is in balsamic phase to his own south node. This is going on the next several years, is this raking up of everything that's dark and wrong with our world, government, society, economies, money systems that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. But particularly this solar eclipse can bring it up in the relationship, bedroom area, And it's like, women want their freedom and their independence, right? This is Juno in Aquarius, is square to Jupiter in Scorpio. Oh, but look what Zeus has been doing. Infidelity. This is one of the big themes between Zeus and Hera in their relationship, is frickin' Hera had to wear a chastity belt. She had to be committed to Zeus by force. I mean, their story is just such a patriarchal story. It's amazing that they were so prominent in their positions in the olden ages. Hera was reduced from all of her goddess lineages when she became married to Zeus. And she became imprisoned, basically, and she had to wear a chastity belt, while Zeus went off and slept with whoever and raped whoever he wanted. Nobody's saying that any of this is okay. And so again, a lot of these themes are coming up. Patriarchy, what doesn't work? And I'm going to be very clear in saying that patriarchy is not good for men or women. This hasn't been like several thousands of years of men being winners and women being losers. It's more complicated than that. And so there's a lot, again, of freedom urges and women fighting for their rights and tensions in relationships because we need freedom and we need independence and we need intimacy. And how are we going to do that? And how are we going to do this? And again, make sure that we're not just all blaming it on what's not perfect in the present in a way that's actually leading to copping out and self-denial. And what I mean by that is we can't just blame everything that's not working out in our life on patriarchy, right? Because it's almost the same as like blaming everything that's wrong in our life on our childhood, you know? I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with patriarchy the way that there was likely not everything perfect in our childhood. You know, at childhood we oftentimes experiences some of the greatest traumas and the heaviest baggage that we work out throughout our life, and that's actually natural. That's a part of the family dynamic. So we don't have to celebrate our childhood the way we may not think of a million perfectly happy childhood memories. But we also don't blame why our life is so horrible at age, 30, 40, 50, 60 on our childhood, right? Because we need to take accountability for our world and our situation, right? And so I'm not saying that the trauma's not there. I'm not saying that the pain's not there. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be fighting for what's important. And I applaud the endeavor of feminism and the exposure of all of this nitty-gritty bullshit coming from so many thousands of years of patriarchy. But we also can't just keep saying patriarchy, 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 patriarchy. It's like this key buzzword now that we just associate to everything. And so, long story short, what's actually going on in your life that's causing the anxiety or the claustrophobia or the discontent? The divine discontent is provoking us to make changes in the future by addressing what's going on in the present. So it's the same, story of like people political protesting. Is protesting necessary? Yes. Is protesting good? Yes. But just meaninglessly complaining while giving no possibility of how things can be better or providing any solutions is mostly just unhelpful. And so this is about finding actual solutions. It's about addressing the real world issues. It's understanding that both men and women have suffered under patriarchy, that both men and women have varying privileges. And that's true. And if you can't recognize that women do have privileges and it's not just black and white, you just need to look and observe and see the world and see a diversity of people and a diversity of different experiences. Because it's not all black and white. And I'm not saying it's all perfectly equally fair either. There can be discrepancies. There can be things that don't seem just, don't seem right. And now's the time where we can fight for truth, justice, and equality. But similarly, as we can't become obsessed in a crusade-y, preachy type of way, we just need to make sure that we're phrasing, we're explaining, and we're communicating in a way which is, again, open. The key word for this time is open and flexible, including others, willing to see the other perspective, willing to put ourselves in another person's shoes. And of course, with Saturn in Capricorn for the next 2 years, it's about finding the practical solutions that we can make real world changes, and that we're offering the solutions to help ourselves and other people in a way that is progressive and is moving forward. So asteroid Juno conjunct the Sun on Valentine's Day and conjunct this eclipse. And also, I want to mention 2 other asteroids. This solar eclipse is also conjunct asteroid Hygeia. Hygeia, I think, was the 5th or 6th asteroid to be discovered, and she is a healer. Hygiene, a doctor. This is about what we can do to restore the natural balance and harmony inherently found in nature. How can we be interconnected in a way that actually works? And asteroid Kali. This eclipse is conjunct asteroid Kali with 2 A's. Ma Kali, the great passionate goddess of transformation and the warrior goddess who catalyzes changes by beheading the demons of ignorance. So again, powerful warrior goddess energy going on with this solar eclipse. And this solar eclipse is square Jupiter. We're seeing into the deep. We know that it's complicated. There are many levels, and that this is not necessarily a quick fix, easy does it, one-way resolution period. We know that there's more and more there. And Jupiter is simultaneously coming up to asteroid Psyche. This is a time where we can really get to know the human experience, human consciousness, the problems, the challenges that we all face at this time. And by being considerate and by being empathetic, feeling into others, looking deeply into the problems and the disturbances, not to just bypass or assign quick, easy, one-way solutions so that way we can push away and discard what we don't like or what we don't want to look at. There's a lot of opportunity for deep progressiveness and connecting with others in a significant, intimate, and meaningful way. So harness these eclipses because the boat sails is taking us through the next 6 months. And we're certainly not in danger of falling asleep anytime soon. It's an exciting time, and I'm wishing you all absolutely the best. Whew, it's like non-stop talking for myself personally. I mean, I've just been going, and so I'm happy to keep going. It's been fun for me, and there's a lot that there's a lot of sharing going out there as well. And so if you are an astrology enthusiast, if you can't get enough astrology and these bi-weekly reports are not enough for you, feel free to sign up for my new Patreon page. This month was the first month that we did it. There's an astrology calendar that rolls out every month for everybody. There's an opportunity for a question and answer to personally answer your questions one-on-one and as a group. That's going to be going on next weekend, the 25th. And every month I write out several pages of a month-long detailed astrological summary. Everybody who signs up for the Patreon page becomes a member of my new Rasa Leela Healing online forum community, and we're just getting the ball rolling. We're just starting to introduce ourselves and connect with each other in new experimental ways. And so I'm excited to keep playing around with that Patreon page, introduce new things, play around with some new ideas. And again, I always give thanks for the opportunity to be here, to share with you all, to be the messenger, delivery mailman, and it's a huge honor to do this work. So again, thank you for all of your support and contributions, and I'm wishing you all the best through this solar eclipse, and happy Valentine's Day as well. Go in peace and go in love, and do take care.